Welcome back, watch fans. Today we are talking about Rolex and gold. That's right. We're talking about gold, Rolex, and watch criminals. We're talking about the Rolex management team. That's right. The ultimate criminals on the planet. And what does the exploding price of gold have to do with Rolex? Unbelievable, but true. Now, it's interesting. If you've noticed, gold has been going absolutely parabolic. It's gone absolutely parabolic recently, and which actually has me concerned. Why am I concerned? Well, it's kind of how does that line go? It's kind of like what was that great line from the movie Wall Street where the guy says, I'm conflicted. It's kind of like I want to see Sir Larry Wilder going off the cliff, but he's doing it in my new Maserati. So here's the thing. I've actually been very bullish on gold for many years. I think, gold stocks, but physical gold. I actually like physical gold. I like these gold eagle coins, these gold coins. There's something about holding a piece of gold in your hand. It's fascinating because it's like a very primal feeling. It's the oldest form of money, gold. And I don't know, whatever it is, people love gold. I think I bought my first gold eagle, the Saint Gaudens. No, Saint Gaudens, I think it's called, right? You're not going to believe the price. It was unbelievable. I should have bought more. I think it was like $450, the early 2000s. And then the price went up to like 800, no, the 700, 600, whatever. And I was like, it's already high, whatever. And then, I forgot about it. And sure enough, during the Obama years and when Biden got back in, I was concerned about the world coming to an end. So I ended up buying more gold, and I think I'm average. I think the last time I bought coins was in the 1,400 range, 1,200 range, maybe even 1,500. But I'm not. Again, I really don't want to. I don't want to sell it, because then if you sell it, then you don't have it anymore. That's the problem. The problem with this is it's not like real estate. It's like, with real estate, you own a property, you can generate income and you still own it. And you can, refinance it, take your money, all the stuff, right? With gold, no. Once you sell it, it's gone. So I see the price has gone absolutely parabolic. And by the way, I actually don't believe I don't believe gold should be trading at 40, what are we, close to 4,800, 4,600, whatever it is. I don't believe the price should be at these levels. I really don't. Even though, again, I'm very bullish on gold. I want to see it going up, because I also have a bunch of gold stocks, which I just looked at an account I didn't look at for, I don't know, a year maybe. And my gold stocks have exploded. They've exploded. They were dead for years. I think I bought them, 3-4 years ago, and they've exploded. Sometimes these things take a while. I also have uranium, Chemico, but that's a stock I bought in 2018, 2017. So it's taken these are long-term holdings, gentlemen. We're going to get to Rolex in a second. I don't want to bore you. We're going to get to Rolex, but look, this channel is about making money with watches. Okay, this is the mission statement of this channel has always been buy watches that you can wear, which will also increase in value. So we're going to get to the gold part in a second. What does that have to do with Rolex? So the thing is, I don't think gold is worth 4,600. I think it's actually going to go higher. Last week, at Thursday, actually I was looking at them. I said, shit, I should sell these stocks, because this thing is just, I don't like to see these things going parabolic. To me, that means like a speculative bubble. But I held off. Because one thing one of the biggest mistakes I've made sometimes is selling too early. There's been so many stocks I sold that ended up going to the moon shortly thereafter, including Chipotle, Lilly. I can go down the list. It's a long and sad tale. But yeah, so I think gold is actually very bullish, but it concerns me. Here's why. There's too many bukiaks talking about gold. It's kind of like becoming like crypto, Bitcoin, which also, I think Bitcoin is the ultimate scam, and I think it's a systemic risk to the financial system, and it's ultimately going to collapse at some point. When everybody's in a deep. There's a real systemic risk. I mean, it's just so many things are interconnected with Bitcoin now, with speculation on Bitcoin. It's crazy. There's an old saying. By the way, we're going to get to the Rolex part in a second. We're going to get to the Rolex market update because it's very related. But there's an old saying. Look, I'm basically, I see myself as a contrarian, right? I've always done well with contrarian viewpoints, going in the opposite direction of the hoi polloi. So it makes me nervous when the hoi polloi start getting into, crowding into a trade. So now, it's like Joe Kennedy, who is the father of JFK, who's a real scumbag and, well-known market manipulator. And I think JP Morgan also said this. I don't take, what was the expression? Oh, yeah, the expression was, when the shoe shine boy starts giving stock tips, I know that's the time to get out. Something along those lines. Now, most of you gentlemen don't know what a shoe shine boy is because, you're wearing these sneakers. You don't even own shoes. So you don't know, you've never had a shoe shine in your life. But anyway, speaking of shoe shines, I remember a shoe shine used to be $1.50, and I would give the guy a 50-cent tip. And now you get a shoe shine. This we're talking about in Manhattan, right? I don't know what the prices are elsewhere, but it used to be $1.50 back in the day. Maybe, I think it went to $2.50 at some point. Now, the last time I got a shoe shine, it was like $6 plus, right? So what does that have to do with gold? So historically, gold is a good hedge against inflation and things like that. And traditionally, the measure, kind of the what's the word I'm looking for? The measure, or the basically an ounce of gold would buy you a. This is again, I read this in a book somewhere. Basically, an ounce of gold historically would always buy you a good men's suit. How do they come up with that particular metric? I don't know, but let's use that as a metric. How much does a good men's suit cost these days? Well, nobody wears suits, so I don't really know. Now, I haven't bought an off-the-rack suit in 25 years, so I don't even know what a men. I would think it's probably $1,500. I remember Brooks Brothers suits. Back in the day was like that was the kind of good solid thing. It was kind of the Cadillac or the Buick of suiting. Brooks Brothers, good quality stuff. And this is going back early 90s, before it went downhill. But, stuff like that, that was kind of the classic American, whatever it is, very traditional. It was like, what, $600? $600 maybe back then. Today it's probably, I don't know, maybe somebody can leave a comment. Maybe it's $1,500, maybe $2,000. I can't imagine a suit would be $2,000 for like, I'm not talking about anything crazy. I'm talking about a good quality suit. Probably, let's call it $1,800. So basically an ounce of gold should be $1,800, right? So this is my thinking. But the problem is it's going to $5,000 almost, right? So I believe we're really getting into very overvalued territory, right? We're getting into very overvalued territory. And then here's what made me nervous. So talk about bukiaks. So you got that Wan and Kino, those bukiaks, Wan and Kino. All of a sudden, in January, he was talking about gold and saying, oh, you got to buy gold, oro. I go to Costco and buy oro. Now, how did this guy sneak into the country back in after he was being deported? I have no idea. And by the way, so Wan and Kino, I have to admit, Wan and Kino was right. I thought the price in January, or I think it was last January, I think it was. I thought it would pull back. I think it was 2,500. And I thought it was going to shake people out, go to like 1,800 again. I'm wrong. I'm wrong on this, okay? Wan and Kino, the Puerto Rican hubcap thief from La Isla de Cucaracha, Basura, is right. Now, here's the thing that makes me nervous. I'm sitting, there's a restaurant I like to go to, which has a good happy hour. Now, the problem with these happy hours is, by nature, happy hours attract lowlives because, they can't afford the full price, right? But, so that's the way it is, or cheapskates like myself. So this place I go to because they have Guinness I don't know, they don't have Guinness anymore, but they used to have very good quality Guinness, you know, on the tap, you know, and they had, you know, it's like a steakhouse. It's a steakhouse type of place, and it's good. They have good stuff. The problem is they do get like some real bukiaks who come in there for the happy hour. It's not like, shall we say, I'll put it this way. Let me give you, by contrast, a happy hour. I'm trying to think what is a good, you know, what was the place? Oh yeah, Le Cirque. I remember that Le Cirque. Le Cirque, that was a place I used to go to at a happy hour. Now, they never had happy hour specials. But they had these little burgers, these mini burgers. And I think it was like 20 bucks at the time. This is going back almost 20 years. Anyway, but that place, you know, I'm sitting there and like, who's sitting next to me? Jack Welch. That's right, Jack Welch, the CEO of General Electric, wearing his Patek Philippe Calatrava, the same watch that the Colonel had. Unbelievable, but true. You know, I've met actually some very nice young ladies of high quality at Le Cirque. Now, how many young ladies have I met at this place? Zero. Zero. Anyway, but so let's get to the point. So I'm sitting there, and there's a guy who comes in there all the time, and I probably go there like once or twice a month, a couple times a month sometimes. But this guy, I always see him there. He was always there for happy. This guy's very chatty. He's always starting. I don't want to talk to people. This Bukiak, right? I think because he started talking to me one time. You know, okay, I'm trying to be polite, whatever, blah blah blah. And then it turns out this guy's like he sells funeral home services. You know, funeral services for old people. He's like, you know, I don't want to deal with a guy who's dealing with, you know, death, scamming old ladies, trying to sell them like prepaid funeral service or some bullshit. Anyway, by the way, I have nothing against the guy. I think he's probably a nice guy. I just don't want to talk to him. So, but I'm there the other day, and sure enough, the only seat that's empty is next. Well, there was one seat empty. I said, and then of course a seat opened up. This guy sits next to me. This guy sits next to me, and he starts trying to come. I'm just trying to, like, you know, ignore the guy. Anyway, he starts talking to the guy next to him because he's got to be very chatty. Next thing you know, he starts talking about gold. And his gold stocks are exploding, blah, blah, blah. Well, no, actually, no, it was Friday. He says, oh, my gold stocks are down, but I'm very bullish. It's going to the moon. Also, crypto is going to the moon. And what else is he talking about? He's talking about, I mean, this guy's giving financial advice to, like, every bukiak, every chomo that's sitting at this bar there. Which, to me, again, that's the sign of a top. I don't know, you know, if when you have Juan and Kino, okay, when you have Juan and Kino, and then you got this bukiak, this funeral home salesman, talking about gold, it makes me nervous. So I think we're very, very close to the top, although I do think it go higher. But you know what's interesting is, by the way, we're getting to Rolex. What's interesting is this. What's interesting is, imagine this, you get a tattoo for 50 bucks and ruin your life. What's interesting is, you know, in my other how shall we say, my other day job, or my night job, you know, I deal with a lot of you know, people in the financial industry, shall we say, right? And I was interviewing, or I was doing something with one of these bukiaks. A couple of years, this is 5 years ago, literally, this is the year 2000, early COVID, I think it was. And I said, listen, I'm very bullish. And this guy's like actually a gold bug, okay? I'm doing stuff with these guys who are gold bugs. And I say, what do you think of gold going for $5,000? I think this looks like it could go there. Do you believe that? So, you know, leading question. But anyway, he goes, no, it's never going to go to 5,000. And you know what? You don't want to live in a world where, I remember this quote, he said, you don't want to live in a world where gold is 5,000. By the way, and this guy's a gold bug, okay? This guy's like a, you know, serious gold bug. I don't think it was Mark Faber. It was a guy like that, in that kind of milieu, the Mark Faber milieu. You know, serious gold guys, and none of them believed gold would go to $5,000. And by the way, when gold was 600, I was telling a guy that I think it's going to go to $1,000. This is like 2005. He said, no, it'll never go. And this guy's another, you know, so am I saying that I'm a genius. Well, if I was a genius, I would have loaded up. I would have loaded up with gold bigly. I mean, alas, it's only a small percentage of my portfolio, shall we say. Very small. But, you know, it's like, whatever. It's okay, but it's not going to, like, you know, change my life or anything. I mean, I should have fucking put everything in gold, right? If I was that smart. So what does this have to do with Rolex? So I'm very concerned about the price of gold. I think it's gonna go higher until all these Buchiacs are in it, like maybe JJ Buchiac, Archie. When Archie Luxury starts talking about gold and buying, when Archie Luxury buys some of those Australian kangaroo coins, those gold kangaroo coins, that's gonna be the top of the market. You know, that's the top of the market when Archie Luxury, you know, sells all his Patek collection and buys the gold. So anyway, I think it might hang out here at some point. It has to come down because there is just no way that this thing should be selling for, you know, we're talking about basically $5,000 an ounce roughly. Okay, so what does this have to do with Rolex? What this has to do with Rolex is, by the way, you know, how do you get, you know, okay, what does this have to do with Rolex? This has to do with Rolex that they're looking for an excuse to jack up prices. Okay, there's about, I think, like 3 ounces, maybe. How many ounces of gold are in let's call it a 36 millimeter? A modern 36 millimeter has, I believe, almost 4 ounces of gold. 4 ounces of gold. So we're talking $20,000. Maybe it's $15,000. But, you know, you were talking about a lot of money in gold content. So Rolex is going to jack up prices. Okay, then you got the tariffs situation from El Trump, which I don't see that going away for a while. It looks like it's kind of here to stay for a while. Because, I mean, Switzerland, I don't think he gives a shit about Switzerland. I mean, Switzerland is, you know, they've been ripping us off for years. The Swiss, they've been ripping us off for years. And, you know, the El Trump is here to, you know, to get our money back. From those Swiss bastards. And so anyway, Rolex is going to be jacking up prices. You got the inflation, they're going to claim that, you know, the costs are going up, whatever, you know, prices are going up. Prices of oro are going up. And, you know, Juan and Kino are, you know, not only are they hubcap thieves, but they're chain snatchers. If you guys have seen that movie, Carlito's Way, that's really about Juan's life. It's a kind of an autobiography. You know, with Benny Blanco, Carlito Brigante, you know, Benny Blanco from the Bronx. So Benny Blanco was a chain snatcher. And just like Juan and Kino are working overtime chain snatching. They're going up back to the boogie down Bronx. That's right, Juan and Kino have escaped from Alligator Alcatraz. They've escaped from Alligator Alcatraz, and they're now in the boogie down Bronx, snatching chains. That's right, snatching chains and stealing hubcaps, just like in the 1970s, 1979. So where are we going with this? Let's wrap it up. We're here 18 minutes, and as you know, this channel is the number one channel for high quality content. We get right to the point with all our videos because we respect your time. So what I can tell you is gold is an excuse for Rolex to jack up prices. By the way, speaking of which, I'm actually, this watch, which is by the way, with the gold clasp through the thing, with the Rehot. Now, I've been wrong about this watch because I actually thought, now again, these are very mass produced. But, you know, when I got this, I think it was 2019, roughly. No, 2020, maybe. I don't know, sometime early, maybe 2019 sometime. And, no, 2020, I think it was. And I paid, what did I pay? I paid like $9,000. I should have paid like in the eights, but whatever. Look, you know, these things don't make a difference one way or the other. But I actually thought at the time that there would be a surge for this final series, which is, that's where they did the rehaut and they did the gold through the class, because this is actually look, I got to get rid of this watch. I shouldn't say get rid of it. We need to monetize. We need to sell the watch, because there's just too many Buchiacs wearing it, especially whenever I go to Florida, every chomo and Buchiac on a JetBlue flight has got one of these on. So I don't want to be associated with this scum. But so we have to sell the watch. But I thought the prices would have gone up, and they haven't. They've gone down for the basic ones. Really have collapsed. The prices have actually collapsed. But this thing, I thought this actually would be 20 grand within 7 years. So basically, I thought, my thesis was that this watch would be 20 grand by, let's call it 2027. Okay, so within 7 years, I thought prices would, let's call it, almost double, because whatever. And I'm wrong. I think this watch, if I sold it today, I'd get 9 grand. I'd probably lose 500 bucks. Or maybe I'd make, I don't know. Either way, I'll put it this way. I'd be lucky to get my money out. Now, the good news is, I've actually, you've worn it, I've enjoyed it, okay, it's been good, but it's been dead money. And so what do we learn? What's the lesson? The lesson is, you got to stay away from these mass market chomo stanny watches. Stuff like Rolex, which is mass produced. They made like billions of these, literally billions. And, a rising tide lifts all boats, but not that much. There's just too many of these out there. So Rolex, Rolex, very disappointing on this thing. But they are raising, they will be jacking up prices. I'm telling you guys, this is the last opportunity. This is the last opportunity to get on board before the rocket goes to the moon. No. In all seriousness, they are jacking up prices. Now, what do I think of modern Rolex? I don't know. I'm really neutral. I'm neutral to whatever, because they are mass produced. But I do know that they're going to be jacking up prices, so probably they're going to lift. Look, I think there's still great opportunities, actually, in terms of watches. The opportunities are in niche areas. Now, I'm not going to discuss those areas with the hoi polloi that's watching right now, because it's top secret and whatever. But I'll give you a hint. They are in the category of Patek Philippe. Hey, I'll give it closer. We're talking basically pre-Thierry Stern era Patek Philippe. I think there's actually some, and I'm not going to say which model, but there's opportunities there in that universe. And a couple of other things. I think the watch market is actually doing pretty well right now. The watch market is doing well. Why? Because speculative assets have increased. We're talking about, of course, we're just talking about gold. We're talking about Bitcoin, all the crypto bros are making money. There's all sorts of crazy speculation. There's guys doing sports betting. The world has gone, like, really, we're in a very speculative bubble with everything. Supposedly the economy's not doing well. I don't know. This is what I keep hearing, but apparently it's not stopping the market. You got the L Trump. The L Trump is very good for the market. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with basically, what are we talking about? Yeah, we're talking about Rolex. Oh yeah, let's get back to Rolex. So, look, now that we're 24 minutes in, I might as well tell you that Rolex is going Rolex is going to be raising prices, because they see this new increase in gold is another excuse for them to jack up prices. Because think about it. I mean, last time they did an increase, the price of gold was like 2,500. I think it was 2,500 when last time they did an increase. And now we're at almost 5,000. So you know that they're going to jack it up bigly. We're talking bigly. You know what I mean by bigly? Huge and bigly price jack up is going to happen with Rolex. When? Very, very soon. It's gonna, and of course you get the El Tarif. Now we know that Patek is jacking up prices, and I don't know who would want to pay 15% more for a Thierry Stern Patek. I mean, there's really not any models that I think that are like even that good of the model. I mean, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. It could be I'm living in a bubble, sort of like you know. Whatever it is, I'm not up with the times. I'm not with the times with all the cool kids. By the way, you know, I was telling you guys about that. I only use wired headphones. I don't stick anything in my ear like those Bluetooth or whatever they're called, because those are, you know, those have demonic forces and the MATRIX. And sure enough, you know, everybody say, oh, like, you know, the guy with the wired headphones this is like old man or whatever. Sure enough, I'm reading an article in the Wall Street Journal that all the cool kids now are buying these wired headphones because it's retro. Apparently, I think, what is the article? There's an article in the journal. It's like they said early 2000s fashion or whatever styles are coming back. So, and apparently, you know, the kids today, they want to buy CDs, like, you know, compact discs, and even tape, audio, you know, tape, like music on tape and CD. Apparently, I don't know why, but they actually, there was a trend where they didn't want to own anything, and now they actually want to own stuff. You know, there was a trend where they didn't want to have stuff, and now, you know, they're tired of the digital world. They want to possess, which is a very, you know, that's the oldest human urge, to possess, to own stuff, to feel like, you know, you have some control over your life, when, you know, it's an illusion, right? So yeah, but but people want to own stuff again. So that's also bullish for Rolex. Anything for Patek Philippe. So my thesis is we're going to see huge, bigly increases coming up in a Rolex. And I think the Submariner actually, this, you know, now that I think about it, I think these are actually going to increase. Why? Because the kids today, the Gen Y, whatever they call it, Gen Z, they're going to want to buy Rolex Submariners like their grandfather had, right? They're going to want the boom. It's going to be kind of like an ironic statement. It's going to be kind of like, oh, here's the thesis. It's going to be just like the way the Day-Date 36 came back, the gold Day-Date 36 with a bark. That actually had a run starting maybe about 10 years ago. It became hot. I think it was, yeah, about 10, 15 years ago. Like, all of a sudden, like, you know, everybody, like, it became like so out that it became in. Like, you had like a bunch of guys in the fashion industry wearing it. It became like a cool thing for a while, the bark finish, the barking dog. And I think the same thing is going to happen with the Submariner. I think the Submariner is going to be reappraised, repriced. It's going to be reappraised and appraised because the millennials, the Gen Zers, they're going to find this version to be very retro chic. It's going to have that 80s vibe, retro chic 80s vibe, which they want. That's what these kids want. They want to go to the 80s era. I don't think you can get any more 80s than a two-tone Submariner, It just doesn't get any more retro. So yeah, I think the prices should be increased. That was my thesis, by the way. That was my thesis 5 years ago, which I was wrong on. It took a while. For example, listen, but I was also very early with the date when I got that watch. You know, when did I get it? 1998. Because the price was so cheap compared to steel watches. It was like free. It was like $6,000. So I thought, hey, how can this be $6,000 when, you know, a Daytona was $9,000? Of course, I should have bought the Daytona, but hey, you know, it's neither here nor there. Maybe I'll be right with this. Maybe you know, listen, I can't be right with everything. That's how it is. The main thing is you gotta be right in a, you know, it's not the percentage. It's when you're right, it has to be on something huge. You know, something bigly, not like you know, where you have a $100 bet. It's got to be like $1 million bet, right? Anyway, so this is it. We've have ups and downs in the world of investable assets. And sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. So far I've been wrong. I'm admitting that I've been wrong on the Submariner. Other watches I've been right on, which have, you know, more than made up for the dead money on this dog with fleas. This is a dog with fleas, basically. But yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, so you're probably wondering what's going to be the next huge and bigly watch trend. That's something we're going to be discussing in upcoming episodes, and for members only. We can't have the Buchiacs getting in on this. You know, we can't have this. It's going to be only for the aristocrats. All right, gentlemen, let me know what you think. Leave your nasty, vicious comments below. We'll see you in the next one.